It's a way of keeping people stuck in a rat race or stuck in a way that isn't living authentically. We like robots. We're basically acting like robots, which is not natural because that's going away from our natural source. And that's exactly how I ended up in the health system, because I meditated one night and I decided to go straight into all my trauma, any traumatic experiences that I've encountered. I've been sexually abused, I've been mentally abused, I've been physically abused. And through that, I felt every single feeling that I went through that again. Like the healthcare, no matter how much medication that they've given me, they can't take that emotions that I learned or that I've expressed or that I've felt. They can't take that away because I've already experienced it. However, what they can do is they can numb me from the rest of my experience. I feel like because I went against the system fought back and they said, okay, you're going against us. Because it started off with taking one sleeping tablet. I said, no, I'm not taking a sleeping tablet. And they said, okay, fine, then we're going to hold you down. We're going to inject you and we're going to keep you down. In actual fact, I should have still been on all 7 pills up until today if I didn't fight back, or if I didn't say, okay, this is not working, this is not working, this is not working. Because some people, they don't know themselves well enough, so they won't even realize that they're losing hair or they're picking up weight. Or even if they pick up weight, they'll be like, okay, I'm picking up weight, but it's fine because at least my mental health is fine. But in reality, that's your body speaking to you. So if you're not listening to your body, you start off slow, and then they start giving you a lot of medication, and then your body starts getting used to it, and you starts getting used to it, and then you have to really teach yourself, tell yourself, you know what, it's not good, and then you have to stop, you have to cut down again for your body to get used to not taking as much medication. So that is the journey that I went with medication.
Greetings, seekers of ancient wisdom, and we're back again. Today, we're talking about mental health. Yes, depression, anxiety, mental issues, all the stuff that's plaguing our planet. So, I'm joined by Fatiema, who has quite a lot of experience in mental health. So, Fatiema, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Deepa. Thank you for having me here.
We are very excited to uncover this very, very important topic because there are millions, if not hundreds of millions of people suffering from depression and anxiety and all these other mental issues. So, Fatima, maybe can you tell us why mental health is so important to you?
So mental health is one of the most important things to me, as I've gone through the mental health system for 5 months last year. And I had a mental breakdown. And with my mental breakdown, I try to do so much in life. I try to be the best person. I try to be the best version of myself. I worked out every day. I ate clean. I tried to start my own business. I did everything that was told for me to do, and I did it as well as I possibly could. And through that, I actually got a mental breakdown. So to that, I realized that there's something more to it. And the thing is, I was trying to be everything that the world wanted me to be and not what I was truly destined to be. And I went through the whole system, and I was on medication where I was taking about eight tablets a day. And they told me that I'm bipolar. They told me that I'm schizophrenic. They told me that there were so many issues with me. But ultimately, I was just having a mental breakdown, and it was more of a spiritual encounter that I encountered, which the hospital couldn't quite understand because they didn't have that amount of knowledge. So they diagnosed me with bipolar. They diagnosed me with schizophrenia. They diagnosed me with a lot of other things. The list goes on and on. And I took all the medication for that because they tried to balance my emotions. At one point, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. My face was it was like fixed, like there was no emotions to it because of all this medication. My hair fell out, and I picked up weight, and this medication was all the things that was supposed to make me feel right, but it wasn't. And then every time I went in, I complained. I said, you know what? I'm picking up weight. I'm losing hair. I'm not able to walk. I feel stiff. I feel uncomfortable. And every single time, luckily for me, because I'm quite headstrong, they took the medication away one by one. And every time they took the medication away, I felt better. And I felt better along this journey. Um, and there's a lot of other people that have gone through similar experiences to me, and they rely on this medication to survive. And I go once a month and I get in a monthly injection. I will get off that soon. I'm just waiting for the doctors to say that it's fine, but they're not saying that it's fine now. They said that I should be on it for the rest of my life, but I doubt that's going to be the story with me, because I'm quite headstrong and I will get off the medication eventually. However, there is still a lot of people that are still on the medication, and when I go back and I see the same people that were in the same positions as me back then, they're in the same similar positions, so they still feel like they are defeated, and they are still in a position where they aren't able to do things on their own. And sometimes medication does have that effects on you without you realizing. So you might think that you're fine, but ultimately the medication suppresses your emotions, it suppresses you to what the world has to offer. And that is why I decided to get off the medication. I'm not fully off it yet. I'd like to get off it completely. However, there's still a bit of a scare from the health system saying that I might go back to where I was before, which was schizophrenic attacks. I was borderline personality, bipolar, and yeah. So currently, I'm in a much better space, better mental health, and as a personal trainer, I work out with my clients. I work with my clients. We use exercise as a way to help with mental health. Obviously, diet is also crucial, very important, and just having a idea of what it is that you're destined to be in this world. So finding your soul's purpose as well also aligns you to your mental health, to keep you in a good space. What happens is when you don't know where you're heading, that can also give you a bit of or when you're not doing. So we have guides, and our guides guide us to the journey that we're meant to be. So what happens when we go against our guides? We end up becoming depressed or anxious, or we can feel that we're not aligned. And that's what happened to me, because what I did was I opened up a business unrelated to what was my soul's calling. And because I tried so hard in doing this one thing that I knew wasn't my ultimate destiny, I crashed. And now I'm a lot more aligned. I'm doing things that I know is a lot more in my soul's purpose. I met Ramaphosa last week. I can see that my life's goals is taking a good shape right now, and I feel a lot more aligned. I feel that everything is the way it should be, and I'm not fighting or forcing anything. And it feels like a good place to be, and I want everybody to feel and be in that position as well. But life sometimes do force you to, maybe you have to make an income, and sometimes you can still make that income, but it has to be aligned to your soul. And a lot of people are not living authentically, or not living in their soul's purpose, that they become anxious and they become depressed and they become uncertain. And that is the ultimate thing, is trying to figure out what is your life's purpose, what is your calling in life, and then working towards that. It becomes a lot more natural, it becomes a lot more flowy, and you as a person, you become a lot more wholesome and whole.
Wow, this is quite a deep experience you had last year. And I'm very glad that you managed to find yourself again and get off a lot of these pharmaceutical pills, because they do have side effects. And like you said, they change your mood. And I can actually relate to this because I've got family members, one very close family member of mine. She's been on antidepressants for about 10 years. And the antidepressant that she's on is called a serotonin uptake inhibitor or something like that. But basically, it stops your serotonin production in the body, or serotonin absorption in the body to the appropriate glands. So basically, what happens is she has less feeling ability. So she went to the doctor, obviously, and said, I don't like how I feel depressed. So they gave her these antidepressants, which stop her feeling. Now she's been on it for 10 years, and I can vouch she's become like a zombie, like very little emotion. I remember her when she was young, lively and bubbly and joking and full of energy, but now she's turned into like a zombie. She's got no feelings. And when she's tried to get off this medication, then very soon she starts complaining. She'll be like, oh, I can't sleep now, or then she has these traumatic outbursts or does weird things. So it's very impressive that you managed to reduce your medication and not get stuck on it for decades. So maybe you can tell us, how did you find yourself again and not get lost in the medication?
I've reduced my medication. I haven't completely cut off everything as yet. I'm still in the process of that. What happens is your body gets so used to certain medications that it becomes it's like a habit. And what happened to her as well is she's so used to taking this medication that she doesn't know what life is without it. And that's what happens with these pharmaceutical companies, is that is the goal, so that you're stuck on this drug, so that they not, I wouldn't say that they're only trying to make money from it, but this is the okay, to a degree, I believe that that's a way that they obviously make their money, but also it's a way of keeping people stuck in a rat race, or stuck in a way that isn't living authentically. Like, it's normal for us to cry, it's normal for us to have emotions, it's normal for us to feel down one day, then up one day, and it makes life livable. Like, we are human beings, we are meant to express ourselves, we're meant to have tantrums every now and then. It's a part of living, and we can all relate. So what happens is we basically like zombies, and it's like artificial intelligence, and we like robots. We're basically acting like robots, which is not natural, because that's going away from our natural source. And initially it wasn't easy for me to get off the medication. I really had to fight hard, and I really had to complain all the time and say, you know what, this is not working, that is not working. I really had to have a close analysis of who I was, because I knew who I was before my mental breakdown, and I knew how strong and how capable I was. I exercised every day, I trained every day, I ate clean. So for them to give me so much medication to tell me that there was something wrong with me, which I knew that there wasn't anything wrong with me, I had to go against it and say, you know what? This doesn't make sense to me. Yes, I had a mental breakdown. Yes, that was a bit much. It could have been a spiritual attack. It could have been something more. It only happened once. Why am I on so much medication? And through that, I knew 100% that I would come out of it, because my will was so strong, and I knew what I was getting into before I got into it. My goal was to find out who I was spiritually, and through that I got attacked spiritually, because that's what happens when you try to figure out who you are. And I obviously got into the health care system, and as much as caring as they were and as loving as they were, and they did a really good job, I'm very grateful for that. um, you do get you do get a lot of pity along the way, and you do become a patient, and they start treating you like a patient as well. And 5 months of my life, I was in that system. And you wake up, you take your medication, you're forced to take that medication. Initially, I said, I don't want to take any medication at all. I don't want to take any medication. I was very adamant about not taking medication, but it was very forceful. You couldn't move into the next level of healing if you don't take your medications. I was very much forced into it. So I took it and I went through it, but I always knew that I would come out of it. So what happens is some people start taking it and they start believing that that is who they are, and that's what they have to do, and they have to take it because that is now their new identity. So with me, when I went in, I knew that it wasn't my identity. I knew that I'm not going to be on it for long, but I also understood that while I'm going through it, it's fine. I can help people afterwards along this journey. And I'm so grateful that I managed to come out of it. Not many people have. There's still a lot of people that was with me that are still on medication. They still take their sleeping tablets every night. They have to, they live on it. And it gives them, they have to take their sleeping medication because if they can't take it, they can't sleep. If they're not taking this medication, they can't do this. So they're basically reliant on all of this medication. And again, it's not natural. So we have to find ways that is natural to us. And that's the goal for me specifically. It hasn't been an easy journey as I took a lot of medication initially. I was in hospital and I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. I was in an isolation room. I was really severely under so much medication. I've got a mark over here on the drip of just how much medication they put me on, because they couldn't control my natural emotions. And I was just going through something which I think was normal in a world that is so chaotic. So there's so much happening in this world, so much poverty, so much cruelty in this world, that naturally as a human being you do feel all these emotions. And once you do feel it, the health system says, whoa, this is too much. Here's some medication, calm yourself down. But in reality, if we all felt what we're really feeling, it would actually make the world a better place, because there'd be a lot more rage, there'll be a lot more fight, and there would be a lot more people saying, you know what this world is right now, it can be better and it will be better for it. But in reality, what we're doing is we're just making people numb and getting comfortable in their own ways of maybe numbing them with weed, numbing them with maybe pharmaceuticals, and then we start believing that that is just the way the world is and the way the world should be. And mental health is a big conversation, especially for me with all my experiences last year. And when I see people taking this medication, it makes us numb to the reality of what needs to be done in the bigger scheme of things. And it's actually heartbreaking to see the amount of people that are living on this medication, feeling that that is the only way. It actually makes you feel really reduced in the world, and we can be a lot more.
So you've touched on a couple of things there, and I believe that depression, or people get depressed, like you mentioned, if you are living a life different to your life purpose. And I believe you choose your life purpose before you come to this life. They call it a soul contract. I think I've had podcasts on this. And then as you're living your life in this physical realm, if you are far away from your soul contract or your life purpose, this is where your disconnection to your guides can come in. But then also, this is where depression sort of slowly seeps in, because your soul can see that you're not living what you're meant to, and energetically will cause issues. We also had a podcast about 6 months ago. I did it with Brigitte Heeb, and we spoke about how traumatic events in your life can be trapped in the body. And if you don't release it, if you don't let go of it, and this is not what we're taught on this planet, so I guarantee 99% of people on this planet have trapped trauma, but you have to release it to get it out, because emotion wants to flow. Emotion is like a river, it cannot stand still and be stagnant. It needs to flow, energy needs to move.
And that's exactly how I ended up in the health system, because I meditated one night and I decided to go straight into all my trauma, any traumatic experiences that I've encountered. I've been sexually abused, I've been mentally abused, I've been physically abused. And through that, I felt every single feeling that I went through that again. So I went to my pain and I said, you know what? Let me feel it again. And some people are so afraid to go back, and they're trying to move on, or they're trying to suppress their emotions, that they don't realize it is still attached to them. And because of all the past experiences that I've experienced in my life, all the dramatic experiences, I did have an outbreak. And instead of having someone to guide me along the way and say everything is fine, you're just having a little bit of an outburst, this is normal. I wish that I had, if I saw someone now going through something similar to me, I would guide them a lot differently. I would not put them in a mental hospital for 5 months, or I wouldn't put them in hospital or give them so much medication to suppress their emotions. I'd allow them to release it and become the best version of themselves, because ultimately that is the journey that I was on, to just feel my emotions so that when it makes you a lot stronger. I know that for a fact. I'm so glad, I'm so grateful. No matter what happened, was I went back and I faced my fears, and I felt it again and again and again. And because I felt so much emotions, they kept adding on to it. They kept adding on to it. This is my spirit guides. So they gave me more emotions to feel. Maybe like during a pirate date, or maybe my mom's emotions or other people's emotions. I started picking up on other people's trapped emotions, and it became a bit too much for me as one person, because as we because we are so close as human beings, we don't realize how much emotions, or how open we actually are, how much um, information we're actually able to get. And I got so much emotions from the external that I was so grateful, because it made me stronger through that.
Yeah, so that's very important. You mentioned it's the feeling, right? You had to feel through your body, and you did that through meditation. And this is relevant for me because meditation was also the tool that I had used to go into my body and feel where things were out. And then what happened was the traumatic events would come into my mind, and then I realized, oh, this is the traumatic event that caused that blockage. And then I had to do the work to release it. I didn't do your approach. It seemed like you relived the moment and felt it, but I found another method to release and get that emotion out of the body. But I think that's the core aspect of mental healing, or emotional healing for that fact, is to use your feeling body to feel where you are out of balance, feel where your emotions are out of balance, and then use the techniques that resonate with you to release it. But the doctors don't want you to do that. They'll give you a pill and say, here, stop feeling and carry on with your day. But this will never sort out the issue, because that trapped emotion is just going to get bigger. It's like a dam wall. There's water pushing and it's pushing. And yes, you can make the dam wall stronger, but the water is just going to get bigger and stronger, and one day it's going to outburst, or it's going to become a cancer, or something like that. So I like that you mentioned the importance of feeling, and you had to go and feel, and then you had to relive the experience for yourself, and that was how you managed to release it. Is there any more you can tell us about this? Because this is, I think, very important for people to understand how they can maybe do it.
So right now I am on antidepressants, so because I'm forced to be on it, which is it took me about eight pills, and I'm reduced to just one, which is great. But I'm trying to wean myself off it. Currently, it's not a great space for me to be in, because I'm unable to feel much emotions. So I can't cry as much as I would like to cry about certain things that I've overcome, which even something great or something beautiful, it's like, wow, I've made it so far. There's some beautiful emotions that comes with that as well, and I'm able to do that. So I feel that that has a repercussion on both my good emotions and my bad emotions, because I am human and I'm meant to experience life in the most natural way, and it's hindering that. So they're not, so as much as they're saying try not to get too emotional, or don't be too excited, or don't be too depressed, it becomes like, what am I even doing? What am I even living for? And ultimately, there's a lot of good in this world as well, and they're suppressing that. So I would say that I would like to get off this medication as soon as possible, and I'm in the process of doing that. I'm a bit afraid because I did go through a schizophrenic attack, bipolar disorder, and the whole list. And I'm afraid that I might fall back into it because that is the biggest concern that everybody has. However, I feel that I've got a better guidance this time around. I can call you, I can say, Deepak, I'm going through a bit of an attack, and you'd have a different approach to it. And maybe I call my sister or other people that I met along the way after my encounter, because when I went through it, nobody could guide me because nobody experienced it themselves and nobody understood fully. But now there's a different approach and there's a better approach to it, to say that, okay, yes, you're off your medication. This is normal. And I know a lot of people that have gone on medication and they got off the medication and they do go through these attacks again, unfortunately. And I think that is the biggest fear that everybody has. So it is a 50-50 on that. Luckily, I reduced my medication a lot and I haven't had any attacks. I'm still on something a bit smaller right now, and I'm still holding on to it because I don't want to go into a fit or where I've become so unbalanced and I can't really live a normal life. And at the same time, they're also holding this tablet or the injection that I take monthly as almost like I'm a hostage. Like, if you don't take this medication, it's guaranteed that you're going to go through these attacks again. So now I'm thinking, okay, I have to be a bit stronger in my thought process to know that, okay, this can happen again, but why did it happen to begin with? And when I started my journey, it was all to do with it was to find my soul's purpose. Who am I? What am I doing here? Let me go into my darkness. I did the shadow work. Let me go into my darkness. Let me find out who I am on a soul level. And that's what I did. And it was quite intense, that not like the healthcare, no matter how much medication that they've given me, they can't take that emotions that I learned or that I've expressed or that I've felt. They can't take that away because I've already experienced it. However, what they can do is they can numb me from the rest of my experience. And because of that, I think it does leave me at a disservice because I'm not able to fully live my life the way it's meant to be, because I'm currently at a block of, okay, your emotions is now being suppressed because you have maybe channeled a bit too much in this world, and it keeps you trapped into a circle of, okay, this is as far as you can go and you shouldn't go further than this. And that's what I've come to learn about the healthcare system. There's a lot of gifted people in this world, a lot of spiritual people in this world, a lot of spiritual people in mental hospitals as well. And unfortunately, the world has not been designed for them. It has been designed for sheep. And we are meant to abide by the rules. And if we act out of character, it becomes abnormal. But in reality, there's nothing abnormal about it. It's actually very normal to express your emotions. And for that, I do think that it's putting us at a disservice because we start relying on this medication as a way to live. But ultimately, that is not really life.
I want to talk about what you mentioned about fear, because they plant fear in you, saying that if you do not take this medication, you are going to have another incident, maybe become schizophrenic. But I've seen this tactic used so many times, not only in the medical field, but many other industries that I feel are compromised. They use fear and they say, you can't do this, you cannot go there. And they use fear to push and manipulate you into doing what they want you to do. So if they want you to take the pills or the pharmaceutical pills or whatever it is, they use fear as the tactic. And yes, we need to be afraid, because if there's a lion coming to eat you, if you're not afraid, the lion's going to eat you. So fear is a very important emotion, right?
There's a difference between having a natural fear and a forced fear. So what they're doing is a forced fear, and they're forcing you to believe that something bad is going to happen, but there isn't any guarantee that it's going to happen. And that's what happened to me. Was I let go of all my fear that life had. I let go of any limiting belief that I could possibly believe in, and I let go of everything. And every time I said no to the medication, the more medication they gave me. And every time I said no, the more medication they gave me. And I feel like because I went against the system fought back, and they said, okay, you're going against us. Because it started off with taking one sleeping tablet. I said, no, I'm not taking a sleeping tablet. And they said, okay, fine, then we're going to hold you down, and we're going to inject you, and we're going to keep you down. And I was fighting it, and I said, I don't want any medication. I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine. I'm just going through something at the moment. I'm on a journey that most don't understand. It's an internal journey, it's a self discovery journey. And they couldn't understand it. And they, of course, tried to um, keep me down with fear, but I wasn't afraid. I'm still not afraid. Um, However, right now, I'm just going through the process, which there's still a fine balance between reality and then also like spirituality. So I've been attacked spiritually, and now I'm trying to just do what has been told to me in the right way. So I'm going through it, and I should be out of this last amount of medication by the end of this year. I know that for a fact because I'm strong-willed. But I agree with you. When it comes to fear, it is so natural for us to know our surroundings that, okay, I'm afraid now because of a certain feeling that you're getting. And because of the medication, it numbs you. And that is taking away your own natural emotions. I wish I can cry right now. I wish I had normal emotions right now. But I don't. I don't feel that I want to cry. Even if something good happens, I don't feel the need to do that. And I feel that that's taking a part of me. And I will definitely speak to them about that going forward. And I'm a lot of people are going through that as well, and that's not normal. That is definitely not normal. It's normal to cry. It's normal to have emotions. It's normal to fear something when it's there. And we human beings, we have natural instincts, and if we feel something, it chances are it's right. And when you suppress that, you won't know what is happening in your life, and that's not a good sign for anybody to be taking any form of medication, unless of course you don't know what is the reason why you're taking it or why you're going to stop taking it. And I think that is also one of the reasons why people continue taking it, because they haven't done the internal work, and they haven't actually faced their fears, and they haven't actually come to the realization of what it is that they truly desire, what they truly want, and what their soul's purpose is. That they believe that these medications is the best alternative to the reality, but in reality it's not, because it's just suppressing who they could be.
So I'm really curious to understand these modalities that you mentioned that are helping you find your true self now, right? So you mentioned, for example, the meditation, the exercise, the food, but you also mentioned internal work and shadow work. So let's start with that. What is shadow work and what is internal work? Because this is something I feel can help a lot of people who are depressed to confront their shadow. But I'd like to hear what you did and how you confronted your shadow.
So I would say it's not for the weak. To be honest with you, it's really not for the weak. It takes a lot, and a lot of people are running away from their own trauma, and we all trying to look the best and make sure, 'cause we're living in a social world, and also social media is a big thing, so we have to look our best all the time. We have to put up this facades, and sometimes we get so fixated into who we think we are on social media that we forget to actually analyze ourselves internally. And like I said, I've been through quite a bit in my life, and I decided, you know what, in order for me to become the best version of myself, I need to go and address everything that is making me not be the best version of myself, or anything that has blocked me. So, for example, my dad left when I was a week old, so I didn't have a father. That would then make me feel that I'm incomplete, or there's something missing. or maybe I was in a relationship, something happened, and I'm like, okay, that is making me feel a certain way. And then what I did was with my shadow work was one night I just first I've been with a practitioner. Firstly, I started with a practitioner which helped me with shadow work, and used to do a interactive course, and you'll have like people around you and they'll ask you questions. And then one of the guys told me, and he looked me in my face and he said, "You're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough." And at first I was like, I'm enough. I'm the best. What are you even talking about? I was like, please, nobody's going to tell me I'm not enough. And then the more he did it, I just started crying because I realized that the amount of people that told me in my life that I wasn't enough, and it came from the people that are the most dearest and the most closest to me, that made me feel that I'm not enough in this world. I realized that there's so much more shadow work that I needed to do. And then one night I decided to just really go into all my shadow, into everything that was blocking me, any single thing. And I went into it. I started from when I was really younger. I started from any person that I may have hurt along my journey, how I reacted, why I reacted the way I did, why I thought of things a certain way. And everything that has happened to me, I felt it again, but not from a position of complete like failure. It's more it's coming from a position of strength. So yes, I'm feeling it and it feels the way it feels, but I'm no longer controlled by it, but I'm still feeling it again, so that I know what I'm not being controlled by. And I was more in control of that situations, and I went really deep, and I went as far as possible, and I've opened up my psychic abilities, and I started speaking to like my ancestors. I started to speak to a lot of other forces, and it was quite an interesting process, because what happened was, when I went to hospital the first time, everybody thought that I was on some form of drugs because of the way I was acting. But in reality, it was all natural. And I managed to reach, like, people go to ayahuasca, or they do San Pedro, or they do external work, or they go to like workshops, or whatever it is for them to heal themselves. I managed to do all of that in the comfort of my own home, and I managed to reach a level that not many people are able to reach without drugs. And I managed to reach that level without any drugs, and I just managed to reach it within myself. So I was very grateful about that experience.
Yeah, because I've heard of, obviously, this ayahuasca, plant medicine, magic mushrooms people use for trauma release work. But meditation is actually the most powerful way to do it if you can do it correctly. And it sounds like you used meditation to do your release work and shadow work. And to me, the shadow is is really that part of you that hasn't been released, that's like a traumatic event that's still in your body or somewhere in your emotion, and you're carrying it with you.
Yes, and people, they're afraid of the shadow side of themselves, because we all love and light, and we all like to believe that we're only good. But in reality, there's also a lot of bad about us. And then I had to go into it and needed to understand, why am I behaving in those ways, or why did I think that way, or um and understanding that that is just a part of not my journey that I had to experience, but also it's a part of my shadow self that I have to accept. So, for example, we're human beings. We have both good thoughts and we have bad thoughts. If I see Deepak, I see both good, I see bad, but I'm judging him based on whatever it is I'm judging him of. So I had to go into that shadow self as to, why am I making all of those judgments? And then, with all of those judgments that I had with people around me, I then got a layer of clarity as to how life works. And then my ancestors came at bay, and they started to explain to me, okay, maybe you're looking at Deepak with two heads or whatever. It's because something along the, so it's like, I I got I can't really get into it right now, because it's a bit too intense for an average mind to explain, um, or to understand. But it would basically give me a, okay. So it just basically gave me a full understanding of why it is that I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. And my family couldn't understand it, and they all thought that it was us being spiritually attacked or demonically possessed. Um, but a part of me feels like it may have been, but a part of me also feels like I went into it knowingly, knowing who I was, knowing what it is that I'm trying to attain and trying to what my main goal was. And my main goal ultimately stuck the same. My main goal was always to help, or to be of a greater help to people. And what happened was I got um, so religion is also a form of fear as well. And then that's what they started to do. They started to put on the religion. You have to believe in Allah. You have to start thinking like this. You have to start acting like this. But they didn't understand that my journey wasn't going against anything. My journey wasn't saying, no, I don't want to believe in Allah. My journey was saying that I would like to find out who I am. And that's what happens in the healthcare system is when people do go as far as finding out who they are or releasing all their past trauma, they then make you seem as if you've gone crazy. But in reality, you are the most normal one because you are actually fixing all your trauma, and the rest of us are holding on to it. That is still energy lingering, and we can feel it.
Yeah, that shadow that we carry with us actually changes your vibration, your actual body vibration. And I believe we are magnets, so we have the capacity or potential to be magnets. It actually sits here in the solar plexus, and you attract into your life or into your sphere whatever resonates with your frequency. So if you've got this shadow with you, you're going to bring trouble into your life. That's just the frequency you are. That's the magnet you have become. You're going to attract all this trouble into your life until you change the frequency or the vibration, and then the magnet will attract better things if you're obviously higher vibration. So I definitely get that. That is very, very relevant and useful. So the question I have is, you said you're very strong-willed and you're very strong-headed, and this is how you manage to come out of the mental institute. So are you telling me that people who are not strong-willed, there is no hope for them? They're going to be stuck and trapped there forever. And the reason I'm asking is because I've got family members who maybe they're not in the mental institute, but they're on the mental pharmaceutical wagon, taking X number of pills every day, but they're not very strong-willed. So are they doomed? Is this the
I wouldn't say that they're doomed, and I guess this is where the mental health conversation starts and goes towards. I wouldn't say that they're doomed. I think that they're just not enlightened enough. I went in consciously knowing exactly who I am, what I am, and what I stand for. And sometimes along the way, I was told to do certain things, and if I didn't know better, I would have just taken it and I'd have just gone through with it. Whereas some people, they're not. Like I said, my mom works in a pharmacy, so she would always give me medication to take on a daily. And I was brought up in that environment. But something in me told me that it's not natural. When I take it, when I eat it, when I feed it, it doesn't feel natural to me. And so, with those people that are on this medication, that believe that that is the only way, because I know like that becomes a lifestyle. If they believe that that is the only way, without seeing the outcome of maybe someone else that has gone through it and that are still fine, then then maybe they might be a bit longer into it. But if they do see people that have overcome it and that is no longer taking it and that is still doing fine, and that they don't have to actually take this medication and that they will still be fine, then maybe they will look at life a bit differently. So I wouldn't say that it is completely like gloom and doom for them. There's definitely hope, provided that they take the initiative themselves.
I love that. And I think you're the actual inspiration for the millions and millions of people who are stuck in the system, because you're exactly right. My family member is so afraid to not take the pills because I've told her for a long time, please stop taking the pills, please stop. It's making you a zombie. But she is so terrified. of stopping because the doctors put the fear in her.
There's a lot of fear. There is a lot of fear. It's family fear from your family, from your friends, from everybody. There's so much fear around medication. There's so much fear. Um, but ultimately, if you are fine before, you can be fine again. You just have to address the root cause. And also, like for me right now, as much as this fear being put into me and I have to take this last medication which I am taking, I said I'm going to take it a year out just so that I'm on the safe side because I don't want to go against I don't want to leave everything too soon. I don't want to leave everything too soon because what I went through was severe. Um, but I don't want to also continue it for the rest of my life. So I need to also know when to stop. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to go through this last bit of medication for the rest of for the for 1 year. So I've got about 6 months left. No, 5 months. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. It was 5 months and it was 6 months, so I've got about a month or two left, actually. So I have to put some because how long do they really want me to be on medication for? So I have to stop it as soon as possible. And yeah, so like I said, one thing about it is I'm not able to cry. I'm not able to cry. That's not normal. That is not normal at all. So for me to be on this medication and believe that I'm fine, when in reality I'm actually not fine, I'm not addressing what needs to be addressed. And to me, that's bothering me because what if there's something more? Why haven't I actually gone through all the emotions? Because what I've been through was abnormal and I've felt a lot of pain and I've seen a lot of things that most people wouldn't have been able to endure, and I've endured it all. But now, when do I get my time to actually feel what I felt? Because that's part of living. And I don't want to be suppressed my whole life. And yeah, so for that, I can't wait to get off my medication so that I'm able to feel all my emotions that I'm meant to be doing as a normal, functional human being. So I don't think that it's normal to be on these medication to begin with.
Yeah, but the point I was making is that the fear keeps the people taking the medication because, like you said, there's fear from the doctors, from their family, from the friends, from all of society. They put fear in you, and then you've got your own internal fear that you've created now, saying, oh, if I don't take these pills, I can't sleep and I can't function. But you're an inspiration to say that you can get off the pills, and you're actually living proof that you're nearly off them. I mean, you got off 7 daily tablets and you've got one injection that's soon going to be off. So you can actually do it. And I think that's maybe the important thing for people to realize, because the fear mongering machine is big, and it's like got so much fear that they're putting as propaganda and stuff into your head. There needs to be the other voice, which is your voice, to say, hey, look at me. I actually went through that and I came out.
In actual fact, I should have still been on all 7 pills up until today if I didn't fight back or if I didn't say, okay, this is not working, this is not working, this is not working. Because some people, they not they don't know themselves well enough, so they won't even realize that they're losing hair or they picking up weight. Or even if they pick up weight, they'll be like, okay, I'm picking up weight, but it's fine because at least my mental health is fine. But in reality, that's your body speaking to you. So if you're not listening to your body, then you some people are not aware of it. They're not aware of the body well enough to know that it's not working in their favor. And this medication does speak to you. So to me right now, this medication is telling me you're not crying. That's not normal. So am I going to continue with this knowing fully well that it's not normal? Or am I going to stop this and then stop everything altogether and then start a new journey of 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 not being on any medication? Because for years on end I haven't been on in any medication at all, and I was perfectly fine. I went to the doctor. I was always with Discovery. I was always on top, very great physical condition. And so for them to give me medication and tell me that there's so much wrong with me right now because the list is so long, and I knew that I was fine before that, who am I going to believe? Yes, I may have had a bit of a misstep, which is normal considering that I did go into my internal shadow self, which not many people are able to do or have done before. Yes, I did go as far as that, and I do understand that that did take a lot of my energy and um, a lot of energy that most people wouldn't understand. Not even the healthcare could relate to it because they couldn't pinpoint exactly what is wrong with me, and they just had to give me medication. And because I kept questioning them, they kept taking me off medication, then putting me on different medication, then changing the medication, and they themselves weren't clued up. And there's just a massive guessing game as to what it is, and they've got limited, or they've got a certain set of medication that they have to give to the clients. They know what clients like, they know what clients don't like, and the stuff that they put me on, like lithium, and it is just, it is unnecessary. And up until now I still don't find the need for me to be on this last bit of medication, and I will get off it soon because there is nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me to begin with. And yeah, so I'm glad that I'm able to help people along the way, along their journey, to know that they're perfectly fine, that they are okay. I went to the hospital the other day and I saw a lady there, and I could see that she was really out of it. And she was also with me in hospital at the time. And she zonged out, completely zonged out. And I asked her, hey, like, what is wrong, you know? And she couldn't tell me. She said she doesn't want to speak about it. And then I realized that with me, my goal was, I'm going to come out here speaking. I'm going to come out here being loud. I'm going to come out here being vocal, and I'm going to help as many people as possible. When people go in there, sometimes they get so trapped or consumed by maybe an event happened to them. And because that event happened to them, they use that event. So maybe they were sexually assaulted and be like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to speak about this. I'm not going to speak about this, but okay, let me just numb down my emotions with some medication so that nobody knows about it, and I feel better about myself. And they're numbing down their experiences with medication, and it becomes addictive, and it becomes a way of, it's basically like taking drugs, but we're using pharmaceuticals, or using like the pharmacy as a way to like say that it's fine, and it's not. So what we actually need is more people to be vocal, to use their emotions, to be authentic in the speech, in their self, and say, you know what, this was right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong. And there's not enough people, because they go to the healthcare system, and the healthcare system says, okay, you've got something is bothering you, here, take some medication, okay, it will help you with your emotions. And then we just become numb.
So I wanted to talk about the food aspect as well, because that was something you mentioned earlier on. And I know food is very important for how our body functions. But what is your view on food and how food is related to depression or anxiety? Or is there a link? Or is there no link?
They do say that food has frequency. No, there's definitely a link. They do say that food has frequency. So naturally, you want to have organic food, free range. If you, I know you're vegan, but because of the frequency within the food, like you would want to stay away from like non-free range, because of the way they've been slaughtered, and that emotions that the animals have on them, and then you feel those emotions as well. And I do understand that. And also, like some foods that is processed, it's got no vibration to it. So naturally, you want to raise your vibration as high as possible, and that was the journey that I was on. I ate only organic, I ate only clean, and it was in the best health condition that I could possibly have been in. So when I went to the mental institution, and I was ticking all the right boxes, I was eating 100% clean, I was training really hard, I was looking fine, everything was perfectly aligned, I wasn't on any drugs, and then all of a sudden I went off the rails. And the thing is, when you elevate so much, you don't realize how low other people's vibrations are. And that's what I did. I really elevated as far as I possibly could. And yeah, so your food is definitely important for your vibration. You'll look good, you'll feel good, and ultimately for your mental health as well. You have to eat clean. Certain foods like salmon is good for your brain. So you have to also consider that. So if you're not feeling well, try to eat food that will make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, this is something I tell all of my clients. I try to get them onto a healthy, wholesome, whole food, organic diet, and also to eat a balanced diet. So, to make sure you're eating enough dark green vegetables, you need your micronutrients and all of that. But I believe that if you eat a lot of junk food, processed food, um, heavily artificial food, that can definitely affect your hormone system. I mean, it affects your endocrine glands, affects your pituitary gland, pineal gland, and those secrete hormones which manage your moods. So for me, the food that we eat is really important in keeping the hormone balance, which manages our mood. So I'm not sure, but I believe that depression, anxiety can also be caused by a very poor diet.
Yeah, so diet is very important. I'm a dietitian as well. I've got my diet, I've got my certification, and that's what I give to my clients as well. I do diet plans as well for them, and every client is different. And it's without saying, I think it's such a normal thing in my life that it's so basic that you have to have a good diet, you have to eat clean. If you don't eat clean, you won't feel good about yourself. And yes, it does help with your mental but it's so basic. The thing is, we do know it, we just need to do it, and rather eat a healthy diet than take supplements.
So I'm not perfect. I also have a lot of flaws. And I just want to tell people about one thing I did a couple of weeks ago, which I'm a bit embarrassed about. So it was 2 weeks ago. I was at the shop, Checkers or Spar or something, and I was walking in the junk aisle or walking past the junk aisle. You know, the junk aisle with all the sweets and all the chips and all that. And I saw like one of the packet of chips that I used to like is the Willard's sweet chili. So I was like, oh man, I haven't had this for years. Let me take one. So I took a big packet, and I was thinking I'll have a little bit today and have a little bit tomorrow, etc. But I ate the whole packet in one go. I was like watching football and just munching. Before I knew it, I'd eaten the whole packet, one of those big ones, 125 grams. And immediately, like an hour later, I just started feeling like, oh man, my tummy's not feeling good. Oh man, my head is not feeling good. I'm not feeling like I'm so used to just feeling good that this time I was like, very quickly I could feel like, oh man, something's wrong. I'm not feeling good. And I kid you not, by 10 o'clock that night, which was maybe about 5 hours after I had eaten that whole packet of chips, 10 o'clock that night, I was feeling so awful. I just had to run to the bathroom and I just vomited. I just had to vomit. And I just vomited the stuff out that was not gelling with my system. So I think the point that Fatima's making is that when you're eating so much junk all the time, you might not even notice that, right? You probably won't go and vomit it out. Your body will just somehow process it. But in my case, I had not been used to that for maybe years or a long time that I'd not eaten junk. So when I ate a huge amount of junk, my body was like in a panic. It was like, what the hell's going on here? We need to get this stuff out of him. Like, what's. And because I'm so used to how I feel and I'm really connected with, how I feel and how my stomach feels, my stomach's very, very sensitive. I could immediately sense something was not right with this food. It felt just not right in me and I had to hurl it out. And that's how I found food to be very, very important. I mean, obviously, I've known this for years. But again, I'm human. I make mistakes. I stumble. And these are lessons that we learn as we go. I know one thing for sure, I'm never touching those chips again for a long time, probably until I forget about this incident.
Yeah, so that's how I looked at medication as well. Something just wasn't right. Like I was fine before, and all of a sudden I was just on so much medication. And then you start off slow, and then they start giving you a lot of medication, and then your body starts getting used to it, and you starts getting used to it, and then you have to really teach yourself, tell yourself, you know what, it's not good, and then you have to stop. You have to cut down again for your body to get used to not taking as much medication. So That is the journey that I went with medication. It wasn't normal at all, and then all of a sudden I started becoming on it. And then my body started getting used to it, like it would with food, and then all of a sudden I just started taking so much medication, and then I had to like relearn, okay, you know what, stop taking it, it's not that good. And then I started taking less and less as time went by.
That's really good. So we have sort of come to the end of our show, but this is very powerful stuff that Fatima has shared with you, you the viewer, about mental health and how you can get out of the system and learn to feel again and learn to find out who you are. What is your purpose on this life? Why did you come to earth? Was it just to be a sheep, or was it to live a purpose, to do something? So, Fatima, is there anything else you want to talk about before we close off the show?
Well, that is about it. Thank you so much, Deepak.
We really appreciate your time. This is obviously a very difficult topic. I know it's something you experienced yourself and very, very recently. So it's still very raw. So we really appreciate that you're sharing this with the viewers. People who will benefit from this message, I hope, will find it. And we look forward to the next time we chat.
Thank you so much, Deepak. Appreciate the time. Bye.